Injuries for today. Huff, wrist won't practice. Flanagan Fowles, calf won't practice. Jake Moody, right ankle won't practice. Jordan Elliott, knee won't practice. Charvarius Ward, knee will be limited. Conley, oblique, limited. Kittle, ribs, limited. Fred Warner, ankle, limited. Jair, ankle, limited. That's it.
Diagnosis on Hufanga?
Tore some ligaments in his wrist.
A multi-week?
Yeah, it'll be at least a month, probably longer. We haven't decided whether to do it or not, though.
Ward get hurt?
During the game, had a bruise on his knee. Yeah.
You guys have to say whether they're questionable today because it's Friday, or do you have tomorrow?
I don't think so, unless someone messed up. I just Ron Burgundy this thing, so.
A lot of people make a lot about McDonald's defense and what happened last year on Christmas. What can you tell us about McDonald's scheme and what makes it special?
Does a real good job mixing all the schemes up, fronts, coverages. His players play real hard. They're coached well. Their techniques are good tacklers, and they mix up the looks.
What's a little different between that Seahawks squad and a Pete Carroll Seahawks squad?
The schemes have changed. They run different schemes.
Like Geno Smith is throwing the ball probably, I think, maybe more than some people. He's throwing it more than any quarterback in the NFL. So how is he doing, and how much of their offense maybe revolves more around him than their running game in the past?
It's still early, so you never know, but they definitely started out that way. I think Geno's doing a hell of a job. Yeah, he's got 3 big weapons in the pass game, including his tight ends also. His running back is as good as it gets also. So they got some talent over there, and they can stretch the field, and Geno can get hot.
Do you have any reaction to Robert Saleh's dismissal, and have you guys exchanged texts or anything?
I haven't yet, just because of how backed up we've been. I sent him a text, but I haven't got to talk to him, and yeah, I was pretty shocked. That stuff throws you off, especially I think they're competing for first in the division this week, and I think they're up there on defense and got a pretty good team and a chance to have a hell of a year, so that was pretty surprising.
What has Malik Mustafa done well so far, and how has he been in the sort of the communication aspect of his job?
I think communication is one of the hardest things, especially for a young guy coming in. I think he's been getting better at that the more he's been out there. I think just his lack of not hesitating. I think you guys saw that a little in preseason, just with some of the hits he had, especially you saw a couple in that Tennessee game from what I remember. And when he's come in, he's done the same stuff. I think he gets faster each week, just recognizing things and not breaking down and trying to run through his tackles.
Do you have the same volume of plays and the same size of a playbook on a Thursday game as you do for a Sunday game?
Yeah, I'd say the same size. You don't try to put in as much new stuff or things that take a while to get down. Sometimes we overwhelm guys on Wednesday, but you can repeat it on a Thursday and Friday and come back to it, and eventually it sticks. So you try not to do that with new stuff, but volume-wise isn't much different.
Talked about kind of a do no harm approach to special teams, which can be read as like, well, why don't you want to make them as great as possible and make a difference? Is that an accurate reading, and kind of what is your philosophy as far as, I guess what I'm referring to is sometimes you said we don't want them to screw it up.
Yeah, I don't know if I always had the right words for that, but what I'm trying to say is you'd like to build a team to where you don't feel you have to return a kick, a punt, or have a fake kick or a fake punt, or you don't have to rely on something like that to get a win. I like to feel that you feel like you can do it between the offense and defense of just beating someone. And I think in this league, one of the best ways to win games is to not lose a game, to not find a way to lose it. A lot of games are given away. And when it comes to special teams, with the amount of touchbacks there are and stuff, just extra points, getting a punt off, those are opportunities to lose it with any of those are blocked. There's only so many special teams plays that go into a game. And so you don't want to be overly risky on trying to win it there when you're only going to have 10 to 15 plays. You take out all the touchbacks and stuff, it's even less than that. So you don't want to go out of your way to to be risky to try to get your stuff there. You'd rather do it with people who are out there for 70 straight plays.
Can this be a galvanizing moment for your team? I understand it's really early, but you have a short week at Seattle and then kind of that mini bye to just get yourselves right before the 2 home games before the bye, just like where you're at in the schedule. Yeah,
and I mean, so many situations. I mean, losing our last 2 divisional games, having one this week's huge. Playing against Seattle is always huge. Going up there is always huge. And then always in the NFL, it's tough to get ready for a Thursday night game, but I think everyone enjoys them because it's very rare that you get to sit back and kind of enjoy that for 3 days and watch the rest of the league. And they're a lot more fun when you win, and when you get to sit back and be pissed off for 3 days, it's not nearly as much fun.
Seems like we've asked these questions with Robert and with D'Amico early in their tenures as defensive coordinator, but with Nick, is it kind of a similar thing, just kind of figuring things out, and how would you evaluate just the early part of his tenure as defensive coordinator?
I think Nick's doing a real good job. I've been impressed with him since the beginning. Each week, I like how he handles the defensive staff. I like how they set up the practices, and I've liked his game plans, and I liked how he's called it. So I've been real happy with Nick so far.
Red zone, is it, creating space in the red zone, is it more about your personnel, or is it play design? Is it quickness? What's the key to getting that space in that tight area?
Everything. Wish I could give you guys a theme for the red zone, but you get 3 tries when you're inside the 10, and depending on what you do, when we run the ball there, I think we need to be much more effective running it. When you run the ball twice, you'd like to get in and not just put 1 pressure third down on the pass game. And when you do throw it more, then you got to make sure you come through with those, especially not having a negative play with those. So running the ball better takes a lot of pressure off, also gives some better passing looks. We've tried both and haven't been good enough with both those. So it's all aspects of offense.
A couple really productive games against Seattle last year. How would you, assess how he's performing specifically as a receiver so far?
I think Debo's doing a good job. I mean, I think, he had his best game, at least statistically, right before he got hurt. Missed a week and a half, and thought it was tough for him to come back for the New England game, but he was able to get out there and play. And didn't get involved a ton last week, but it's usually a matter of time with that stuff. That stuff comes full circle, and Debo's too good to not eventually have a big one.
Do you have a timeline on Moody? Is IR a possibility?
It's a high ankle sprain, so usually with those, I usually say about a month. Sometimes they can surprise you and go quicker. Sometimes they can go longer. So we're not exactly sure yet.
So IR is
an option, yeah. Yeah, just with how quick this has happened, having Huff in that situation where we got to decide, Mooney could be a possible decision. We have a number of guys already on it, so we're just trying to weigh in all that stuff.
Talked a lot about Brock's ability to create with his feet, and scramble and buy time. And does the fact that he's doing it so much mean that you need to be doing a better job on offense to get the ball out of his hand?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it goes both ways. It's, most of the ones that we're doing that are deeper plays. When they deeper plays and they get deep people and it's a 3-man rush, they usually cover your checkdowns. Plays we've been pretty effective with, and when they don't do it, and I think that's where you see us hit some big crossers. There's times that you want to get rid of it quick, but people got to be open quick too, which usually has to do with blitzers. If people blitz and you get rid of it quick, you will get rid of it quick. You have to. But when they don't, sometimes your checkdowns are covered, and when your checkdowns are covered, I'm glad we have another option. All right, guys. Thanks.
Questions?
Kenneth Walker had a play against the Lions where he was able to kind of stay up. You probably know the one I'm talking about. Is that one that you guys showed to your players just to emphasize the type of athlete that they'll be facing?
Yeah, I did. I just showed that along with a bunch of other ones that are similar, to just show it's not like a one-time thing. He's got a bunch of plays that you would be like, oh, it's kind of flukish, but he just doesn't go down, and he's hard to get down. He's the type of guy that he has the ability to kind of run wherever, and he's got the strength and the contact balance that he just doesn't go down, and he'll fight for it. And he's really talented and has stop-and speed. Once he gets outside of breaking a tackle, he can go.
Last season, the defensive backs intercepted 16 passes, I believe, in the regular season. So far this season, they haven't intercepted any. Why do you feel the production on the ball among the secondary is down this season?
No, I mean, we got to attack it more. I mean, there's always ops. We just, it's just one of those things where we just a mindset of when it's up, it's ours. Like, be the receiver, like, be the aggressor. Just hasn't happened yet. We need to be more aggressive with it.
You guys didn't break. Oh, go.
Look, when you're talking to these guys after, 5 games, you're talking to your defense, what are you kind of harping on with them that, look, we need to do this a little bit better. We're right here, but we need to do this a little bit better. What are those specific things that you think will just take you guys back into the identity that the Niners have always had?
I think it depends on the play. I mean, more so right now, it's just, the mindset of getting ready on a short week. And we're cramming first, second, and third down today. So it's more of just dealing with today. And then when you're evaluating the plays, I think it just depends on what the play is. I mean, I don't think it's, one certain thing here. It's just there's different stuff that shows up, whether it's for a minute there it was explosive passes, because those have consistently led to points for years and years and years. And when we give those up and we don't take the ball, like you just mentioned on the interceptions, like, it's tough to win games because those are stats that are continuous and they're consistent and it's every year. So, whatever the turnover margin is, I mean, if we make it even, I think that last game's different. So I think we always feel like we have to do our part. So that was one of them. But also, any explosive plays, whether it's run or pass.
Do you feel that teams are trying to show you things that they haven't put on tape yet?
It does. I mean, that kind of happens each week because you want to show something. I mean, we try and do it too, where you give some look and try and do something off of the same look. Like, I think that's what most people do, really. So I think the unscouted plays, that's just what the NFL is. That's what smart coordinators do. That's what smart coaches do. You kind of challenge to do what you do, but how can I make something be different off of the similar look?
How much do you second guess yourself after a rough game, and how much do you lay into the foundation of what you do and believe in that?
It's a good question because you don't ever have regrets, but there's always things you want to improve on. And if I'm honest, there's times I'm like, God, I could have done this, but no, I believe in that. Like, we can coach this better or we can execute that better. You don't want to get too far off your fundamentals of your beliefs either. And so that's what I lean into more than anything. And then it's just how can we get better, fundamentally. And that's with coaching and with how we play and how we practice. And I think there's always going to be calls that aren't perfect for what they do. I think it's the whole, whoever has the pencil last, right? And depending on the route or the run versus the pressure or the coverage. So there's always a little bit of that, but you also have to trust your process. And like you said, if there's unscouted looks, sometimes you just got to be ready to adjust.
Nick, when you watch the Murray 50-yard run on film, what was the breakdown on that play?
Yeah, it was. They got us a bit on that one. We were in single high there, and they just got us on the edge. We didn't bump out, and then we got caught up from the post, and it was a couple different things.
What was the situation there? Sorry to ask you about another breakdown, but it was the one where I think it was I forget which receiver, but he was wide open, and I think it was Ward and Lenore both dropped.
Oh, on the 3rd and 7,
yeah.
Miscommunication after a motion. We had one similar to that off a stack, and a similar D&D earlier to the other side, and it was good communication. And that time it ended up just being on the wrong page.
Mooney's success against DK, would you expect that to be a one-on-one that you're focusing on most of the game?
It can happen. We'll see. We evaluate everything, and we'll go from there. I like all our corners. I respect DK a lot. I respect Tyler Lockett a lot. He's done it for 10 years, and even Jackson Smith-Njigba. I think they have a really talented group, starting with Gino and the running back too. I mean, I think overall, if you look at their skill group, it might be the most talented one we've played overall. When you put the tight ends in it and all the receivers, really both running backs, and then Gino, who can still do it. I think he still moves around well enough. He's been getting rid of the ball fast. I know he's got a great arm, and they've been getting a lot of explosive plays. We talked about the explosives. I mean, they've been explosive. I think they're top 5 in explosives. So,
The last 2 weeks, the defense has missed 29 tackles. What does the film show? Is it fatigue? Are these guys breaking down a little bit?
I wouldn't say it's fatigue. I think we miss tackles sometimes because we're aggressive. Like, we do coach our guys to take their shots. If you make me a cut up of those tackles, and I'll tell you if it's a good or bad one. to be honest. I mean, that's just, we play aggressive, we play violent. We have, I think, you know, sometimes Fred shows up with quite a few missed tackles, but if a guy stops his feet and, you know, they're having to take time and that guy loses a yard, but you kind of fall off and now we've got two other guys coming, then that's not a bad missed tackle. You know, sometimes they're a little bit different. I'd have to quantify it by looking at tape. Then I could probably talk you through if they're good or bad or not. After the game, Bosa was asked about Connor having more success, you know, on the final two drives, and he said they made some adjustments with his own read. He suggested you guys could have adjusted to that better, and sometimes throughout the season you could have made better in-game adjustments. Is that a fair assessment? I don't think it was something we didn't adjust. I mean, we started changing some of the calls, and we did mix up whether it was too high or brought pressures. So I thought we talked about it on the sideline, what happened on that one play, and I don't think it was really any breakdown or miscommunication on not adjusting late, because we were changing things up and, you know, getting different looks with our shell and with bringing different types of pressures as well.
Where is Malik Mustafa made his biggest strides from the point where, you know, when Huff was out early in the season, he
What'd you
wasn't.
say? Oh, you said Malik. Okay.
Yeah, where's he made his biggest strides so that now when Huff is out, you have confidence in him starting?
I think his strides have come just because he's played a lot. I mean, we've had a lot of guys play, and I think it's, you know, good that guys gain knowledge through getting their snaps. And for him, it's just being comfortable being out there. I think I've mentioned before, like with safeties, it's that comfort to communicate and the feel of the game and the flow of the game and how it moves and how you have to be, you know, a leader back there behind our backers, that you can communicate across the board and be tied in. And I think he's done a good job with that.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.